you are not listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I see that even just, you can even make it as small as just project management. That happens so often.
Of
You know,
course.
why is this person saying it's going to take 8 weeks when I think we can do it in 2 weeks? Or just these communication things that happen on a regular basis. It's so huge. And having empathy and trying to understand one another instead of making rash decisions.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure the two backgrounds you have, it's very much you need to be decisive. And so it's oftentimes, when do we step back and look at everything a little bit and pause and try to figure it out?
Can I add something to what I shared?
Mm-hmm.
Just because of what you said of my two different careers. At the beginning of my military career, I was a medic and a ground medic, and then later I became airvac. But being law enforcement in my civilian side gave me the tools, as strange as it's going to sound, gave me the tools and the confidence to be a medic in charge of a medical team, in charge of a group of people. And equally as important, being a medic early on in my career allowed me to be a much more effective and productive law enforcement agent, because I brought that different perspective to a team of very type A males that I don't want to stereotype them, but in some situations they were like kill, 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 right? Everything. And so I brought a little bit of, yes, we have a mission, but how about if we just polish that message a little bit, and those rough edges on the corners, just like, just make them softer, and we will be more productive. So both sides of the equation helped me, I believe, be more efficient in the other one.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's something people don't realize. I feel like when you talk to reservists who've been in for a long time, I know for me, I had the same experience. They strengthen each other. It's not that they're pulling you in too many directions. It's actually really complementary, I felt like.
Agree. Yeah.
And I know when people on active duty work with reserve and guard, they're surprised at how much that dual career path, it really strengthens them on the active duty side too, when they start to interact with the active units. I don't know if you found that when you went on active duty for the reserve.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I even remember sometimes there is a prescribed formula of how you are allowed to enter a room. You need to have this school, you need to have this rank, you have to, right? There's little list that if you meet all the squares, you are allowed to come into the room. And as a reservist, sometimes, especially getting to the command chief level, the number Air Force level, the major command level, right? That pyramid of enlisted gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And what happens is that in active duty, most of those amazing leaders, enlisted leaders, have known each other for pretty much their whole career, because they went to the same schools, they were assigned at the same places, and it becomes this really tight community of friends, tight community of leaders. And here comes Ericka Kelley, boop, right, where I have to build rapport from square one sometimes, because we don't have that growing up together experience. And so in those situations, there is an innate hesitation, not towards me, just an innate hesitation of who is this new person. It's not who's Ericka in the room. It's like, who's this new person? And it was up to me then to build rapport, to understand that if there were attacks, the attacks were not towards me. They were just attacks to the unknown, to the unknown. And then for me to bring my civilian background, in which for some of them, they have been in one career field since, if we're talking enlisted, maybe when they were 17, 18 years old, and they have stayed in that same margin, that same world. And now all of us have served for 32 plus years or 30 plus years, but the only thing they know is that world.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me to talk about something that civilian world, it might be very scary. I remember talking to an amazing leader who was facing retirement after, maybe 31 years of service. And we're just talking. And for me, it's exciting, right? It's like, what's next? And he's like, what's next? I don't know what's next. That transition that you talked about. And I'm like, well, are you going to do this? Are you going to? And he's like, he stops me. He goes, Ericka, the more I know you, the more I get to know reservists, the more I get to know Ron Anderson and guardsmen, the more I realize that I have so many blind spots. This is an amazing enlisted leader sharing this with the two of us, right? The guard and the reserve, saying, I have blind spots. Because the last time I lived in what we call the real world, I was 17 years old putting cans on a shelf, right? And the Air Force removed me from that environment, gave me a career, helped me get an education. And here I am, right at the top of the enlisted pyramid. And now I have to go back to that because that's my last memory, right? The last memory of being a civilian is that kid. Right. So no kidding, that transition can be very, very painful for some of the folks. I mean, it was painful for Ron when he transitioned, and it was painful for me, even though I'm a planner, even though I had something underneath me. Transition was still hard.
Yeah. And it's a part of your life that you're kind of just walking away from. It's like a divorce, kind of. The strange breakaway. I felt that when I got out. I didn't serve a full term, but I felt very much like a big chunk of my life was just done with like a signing of a paper. And I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm not in anymore. And it's weird. It is weird.
It is, because one day you're making decisions. One day you're wearing the uniform. One day, like it or not, we have been conditioned and programmed that wearing that uniform signifies a lot of things. And from one day to the next, there's no uniform, there's no phone calls, there's no responsibilities. There is, and guess what? The machine keeps going, right? And then here you are, if you're not prepared, or prepare as much as you can be prepared, standing at the bus stop with the bus going later.
Yeah, all the people you're interacting with, because even on the reserve, yeah, we're still talking to those people every day, even though we only see them once a month, maybe.
That's
maybe
right.
More, but I mean, people don't realize reserve is really throughout the week. You're still getting emails from people. You're still getting phone calls. They're like your family. It's 2 jobs in one day, every day, and it is different. And it's a good to hear a variety of experiences, especially from someone that was at the top of the food chain, because sometimes people think, well, I wasn't in that long, or I didn't get to this level, so it should be, whatever the reason is. And I think it's nice to hear from a senior leader who has done all that, and even in your career side have went up the ladder for all those years. It's important to know it's universally difficult. It's not like there's something wrong with people when they're trying to transition out.
Absolutely not. It's a bridge, right? We are on one side, we need to get to the other side. But depending on our personality, depending on our environment, depending on preparation, that bridge might not be a solid bridge to get to the other side.
Yeah.
That bridge might be missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the right, taking that deep breath, and it's not like you have a choice, because that date comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, that, like you said, you said that signature.
Mm-hmm.
Signature comes, that date comes, and then you got to take that first step into the bridge and then navigate the bridge. And how long does it take to navigate that bridge in order for you to get to the other side? That depends. That's why I work so much with transitioning veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying transitioning because you're retiring in 6 months and what's next. When I say transition, there are some of our veterans out there that they have not worn the uniform in years, but they still haven't transitioned.
Mm.
They're still holding on to I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of realizing how amazing their, not perfect, but how amazing their present is.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a vision, then we can work towards an amazing future.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to leave this open to you. I was going to ask you what you think maybe are 3 key leadership. Everyone always says, give me the one thing, that you would want to impart to people that are, still serving or transitioning out, whatever audience. But what are 3 leadership things that you think people can carry with them throughout their career, whatever phase they're at, that you think would be helpful?
Yeah, thank you. Well, the one that I say always is that your present circumstances do not dictate your future.
Mm-hmm.
That will always be my number one. Number 2 would be to keep growing, and by growing, I mean that you need to put yourself in very difficult situations sometimes in order for you to see someone else's perspective.
Mm.
Period. Because sometimes we see that, a group of us says, this happens all the time. And in the same room, maybe in the same family, we have another group of people that says, this never happens.
Mm-hmm.
And who's right? And I say both of them are right. Because from their perspective, if something hasn't touched them, if something hasn't touched their loved ones, then those things don't happen. But from the other group, when it happens to us, when it happens to a loved one, then those things always happen. Right? So that would be my number 2. Number 3 would be the way of being able to show grace to ourselves. Show grace to the way that you have lived your life so far. And appreciate you. Not from an egotistical point of view, but appreciate you for being able to keep going. Appreciate you for looking back at the people that you have helped. I have this is my little notebook. And in here, because I'm a planner, right? I plan and I check off everything because that's just how my personality works. But, we're in end of June, and out of all the things, I'm like, oh my gosh, sometimes we feel like we haven't been productive. And I did this test on me because sometimes I say that about me. I haven't done anything today, right? So I went back to my little list here, my little notebook, and I have accomplished on my to-do list over 700 items since January.
Wow.
So when we think that we haven't done enough or we're not doing enough, just reflect. Reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, and how can I change tomorrow?
Yeah, so good. We could talk for hours about this. You're such a wealth of information. I love it. I'm so glad that you had the time to do this. And is there anything else that you would want to share that you can think of?
I'm so happy to be part of ROA. I will be at the conference. So I'm super, super excited about the conference. By the time the conference comes, I will have another book out.
Wow, that's exciting.
It's going to be a book, a series of books. So just picture this. The title of all the books is going to be, "Do you have what it takes?" ? Okay, and then the subtitle is going to be 5 things a recruiter cannot help you with.
That's cool.
And the first book is going to be Air Force. And then, so that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a series of booklets. And the first book is going to be Air Force. And then the second book is going to be Army, and then Marines, Navy. And then we're going to do a Coastie. And we're thinking of doing a Space Force one too.
That is going to be cool.
Mm-hmm. So we're hoping for recruiters to use the booklet to give to individuals that are maybe interested in becoming a part of the armed forces. Specific for this booklet, specifically the Air Force, or to take the book to school counselors.
Oh, good idea.
As people are talking, or the book can be bought for you and I that are looking at the possibility of having a military career and asking those questions. Am I good enough? Am I strong enough? Do I have what it takes? All those questions that people ask, then they can buy it.
That's so great. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's great. We'll be on the lookout for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Make a note to myself. And so thank you. Sincerely, thank you so much for your time and for everything you do for ROA. You're always willing to volunteer your time and share your time. And we know that you are a very busy person. So we appreciate it very much and look forward to seeing you this fall at the event. It's going to be really fun.
No, it's going to be awesome. And I am, my commitment is to the military. My commitment is to the reserve side of the house, Guard included. And ROA is that amazing, amazing tool that we just need to tell people all about it. So I'm here for the long run.
Great. Thank you so much, Ericka.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.